5:30 p.m., Monday, January 13th, 2020. I'm calling this meeting of the City Council of Paris to order. The invocation will be led by Gene Anderson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Portugal. Everyone stand, please.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we're indeed thankful for every blessing that you give us, for we know they all come from you. We pray for your guidance tonight as we have this meeting, that you give us wisdom and understanding, that we might know the needs and address those needs, Father, in a way that would be pleasing in your sight. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. The Citizens Forum is now open. Anyone wishing to address the council, please step up, give us your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening. How are y'all? My name is Dina Nicholson, 6940 Pine Mill Road, Paris, Texas. This is regarding motel ordinance item 12. At previous meetings, I expressed concerns to get this situation under control and out of the population. With all due respect to the chief, his numbers in the memo are reflective to what they were last year when he admitted them being actually really bad. I might also add that he promised that he would bring an ordinance if there wasn't a significant change, and actually there was an increase. Either way, it has gotten actually worse. Now this ordeal affects everyone and anyone who is in the busiest part of town. This is due to my neighbors at the extended stay. They are now spending their drive times at the intersection of Lamar Avenue and the Loop, putting on a show for everyone to see. On social media, there are some disturbing posts to their unsafe behavior and calls to PD, which I would guess aren't included in those numbers. If I had to guess regarding the posts about this, I would guess it's in the thousands. However, I can go on and on about that, but I want to get down to solving. First, I understand their freedoms, and I understand how difficult this is to solve, but I suppose that it's supposed to be the city's number one priority to keep the citizens safe. Just last week, I was near miss wreck by running over one of them in front of McDonald's, who supposedly just got hit by a vehicle the day before. And what's worse is the man that was pushing the man in the wheelchair was actually contemplating throwing him out in front of a semi right there as we were speaking. Remember, safety is number one concern. Now what's confusing to me is I see the steps that the cities take. The city has made it so easy for them to be reckless, but an officer is threatened for stealing by taking cardboard that was left as trash there. That was a cardboard sign for them. Also, another man was arrested for walking down the street on the wrong side of the road. Now, we got drugs off the street, but we can't be creative in getting these people off the streets. Are you following me? We don't have drug zone arrests. And so, long story short, it doesn't matter to me how we fix it. A panhandle zone, an ordinance zone, a safe zone, but let's do something. This is way out of hand. We need to take this and make the situation safer for everybody, not just them, and everybody that is being threatened by them also. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please step up.
Ricky Gillian, 321 County Road 11400, Paris, Texas. On the same issue as far as the panhandling and whatnot, I spent a couple of years in San Marcos living there. I've since moved back, so my address is current. But even when I was gone, Paris is my hometown. It's a pride thing. I love the town and the surrounding area, but I hate to see it people being taken advantage of by some of these people that are out here on the corners of the loops and whatnot. They're walking out to the vehicles. They're not staying on the side waiting for people to give them money. They're walking out to the vehicles. They're going in front of the vehicles. Creates a hazard, safety hazard, as Dina said. Also, I've went out there a couple of times when I was actually in town visiting and picked up the trash and the biohazardous waste from around there. And when I say that, I'm talking about containers of urine and whatnot that these people are leaving under the bridges and right there where they're standing all day long. So it is a safety issue and several different levels, and a concern to me also. And I would like to see something done to get this corrected if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council, please step up.
My name's Neil Smith, 7130 FM 195 Paris. I'm going to try to be quick, but when I go through a city, including my own, and I see panhandlers and scammers standing on the corners and trashing up the parking lots and the streets of the cities, it's a concern of mine. To me, it reflects on that city, shows a weakness of the city to be able to control the people who are taking advantage of others. I realize that this city doesn't want to get involved. I understand that. I understand panhandlers have a First Amendment right also, but it's a lot easier sometimes to turn away than to get involved. To turn the cheek shows weakness, and it also encourages more of the same, and soon it spills over to every corner and every parking lot in the city. It's one thing if people are in dire need, if they're homeless and they really need something, but it's something else to have someone standing on a corner that's scamming you, that's lying to your face, taking money from your hard-earned people's pockets. Yes, it's a concern of mine. I've been scammed. I've been scammed many times. I used to be a business owner in this town, and I was scammed out of thousands of dollars, and that's the reason I no longer do business. So yes, it's a personal issue for me. But back to the scammers on the corners. Yes, you could drive by. You can choose not to see it as a problem. You can choose not to get involved. But in my opinion, something should, and I think something can and needs to be done about this. It's a bad reflection on the city of Paris, in my personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address the council?
Good afternoon, y'all. First of all, thank y'all for your service. We're not here to just chew your butts out, but we're here to just try to make a point.
Sir, could we get your name, please?
Name and address, please, sir, if you don't mind. What's your
My
name,
name's
sir?
Ronnie Smith.
Okay, and where do you live?
I live 1522 East Houston Street.
Thank you, sir. Continue.
I moved to Paris in 1959. Been here many years. Been in and out of the city, resident of the county. I've been mayor of Reno for a while. I've held a few positions like y'all do and try to serve as best as we can. And I know you're hindered by some things, but there's a lot of things that you can override that be for the betterment of the city, for the people in the city, for tourists coming in, people coming in. They get an awful bad impression of these guys standing around and doing what they're doing on the street corners and, just aggravating people in public. Like my son said, many of y'all, you don't have to give them anything. If they were deserving, I'd give them the shirt off my back. Many times I've helped people. I've been helped many times by people. But there's a source to go to when you need help, and begging and bumming off the street and lying to people about being homeless and needing food. I've even offered one of them a job one time. Can't do it. I'm physically incapable. He's out there, he can stand on the street all day long and beg. But anyway, I'd like to see y'all come up with something, an ordinance or whatever needs to be done, and address this issue and protect the citizens of Paris. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to address the council?
Thank you, guys. Chuck McMasters, 3040 Northeast Loop 286. Hey, I go up there and I clean about every third day up under that underpass, that bridge. I don't go during the day because I'm not a confrontational person, and I'm not all about dealing with any confrontation, but I do clean. I haven't said anything about me cleaning. I don't want anybody patting me on the back, but I know this. I came in this community about 6 years ago. I do everything I can to help give to this community. I've never seen so many giving people in Lamar County, and I've been to several counties and lived in several places. There's a way we got to come forward. I'm compassionate about what's going on, but there's got to be a resolution somewhere we can come together and figure out something that's going to be better for this community, be safer for them, safer for anybody driving around, so they don't run anybody over and those guys don't get hurt as well. It lets you know on the way, earlier I was going down, there was a new guy on the street corner. As I was coming back down, I seen he was gone, the old guy was back. So I went down, I rode down a little bit, and I waited for him to come walking up. And he came walking up, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, I'm going home. I said, "Well, where's home?" He said, "Well, the homeless shelter down here." I said, "Well, I seen you on the street corner." I said, "Why'd you leave?" He said, "Well, when they get there, we got to go. That's their corner." I said, "Well, that's not really their corner. That's the city's corner. You know, I mean," he said, but he goes, "Well, when they come up, we know that we've got to leave, and they push us on." And I said, "Okay, well, that was today." And so I don't know. Again, I'm compassionate, but we need to come to a resolution that makes everybody happy and that makes this place safer. And definitely, I love Paris. I love Lamar County. I think it's the best place. I'm glad I moved down here. And I want to thank everybody for everything you do for the community, and especially your guys' service. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will now close the citizens forum. The consent agenda is next. Is there anything on the consent agenda that any council member wishes to pull for additional discussion?
Not to pull from, but the County Board of Health has 4 agendas in there, which is a lot of extra reading. If they could get them to us in a more timely manner, is that possible to ask?
I'll send them an email and ask them, and I'll
Right.
let you all know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? I entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Yep. All right, next is item number 10. Consider all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of the City of Paris, Texas Combination Tax and Surplus Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2020, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such certificates, approving an official statement, a paying agent/registrar agreement, and an engagement letter of bond counsel. Gene?
Mayors and council, as you know, it's our intent to issue certificates of obligation that will fund the renovations at the Civic Center. Andrew Freeman is here from Samco Capital Markets, they are our financial advisors. He's passing out bid tabulations for the bids that were received on the 10th. Thank you. And so I'm going to turn it over to him and let him address this.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Andrew Friedman with Samco Capital Markets. Passed out a short packet of information detailing the bids we received on Friday through a private placement competitive bid process. Private placement meaning that these were solicited to local, state, and national banking institutions for them to buy and hold for their own accounts. A little bit different than when we sell larger, longer-term bond issues that we underwrite via investment banks on Wall Street. The first page here is the result of those bids. We received 9 bids, the best bid coming from First National Bank Texas, which is a bank out of Killeen, with an interest rate of 1.95%. So we did significantly better than the estimates that we'd been working with going into this. We always want to be on the conservative side and then come in better than expected. And so we accomplished that here today. Another takeaway from this is 9 bids is a tremendous turnout. It speaks a lot to the creditworthiness of the City of Paris, that you've got a lot of banking institutions out there that want to loan you money based on the strength of your finances and being a well-run community. So I think you all are to be commended for that. Behind that are the final numbers for you all to review. The first page, and this is a little bit confusing, but I want to make this clear. It's $1.5 million certificate of obligation. The cost of issuance detailed at the bottom, $63,500. That's actually going to be paid for by the chamber. So at closing on February 11th, the city is going to receive $1.5 million into the account for the project. You won't have to write any checks after that, so those costs are being paid. The way that the Attorney General wants to see these numbers, we needed to include those cost of issuance here, so I couldn't delineate that as I would have liked to, but you will be receiving that $1.5 million on February 11th. The subsequent pages detail the structure of the certificate of obligation. If you flip to page 3, see we're going to begin making our first interest payment on June 15th, 2020, and then we'll pay principal annually beginning on June 15th, 2021, interest semi-annually until final maturity in 2030. The debt service target that we were looking at a much higher interest rate was $200,000, so we're doing much better than that. Debt service annually is going to be roughly $166,000 a year for the next 10 years. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have related to the bids, the pricing, these numbers, or the process, but I turn it back over to you all for any questions.
Okay, so the cost of the, let me get it right here in a minute. The cost of issuance, that will be reimbursed to the city by the chamber. So
Yes, sir.
basically, the city's not out any money on this, and the city will get the 1.5 million that will then be.
You're exactly right. Yes,
Gotcha,
sir.
okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions?
That's good.
All right, sir, thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Any discussion on the council on this? All right, I'll make
I don't
it.
think we'll ever see interest rate this cheap again.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's pretty low. Okay, I make a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of the City of Paris, Texas Combination Tax and Surplus Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2020, and approving all matters incident thereto.
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you. Item number 11, conduct a public hearing, discuss and act on a resolution authorizing the city to be eligible to participate in tax abatements and approving guidelines and criteria for granting tax abatements. I understand this is our same abatements that we've had in place.
Yes, it is the same set of criteria and guidelines for issuance. We have to do that every 2 years, and so we're at the 2-year point since we last did that, so we need to do that today. And because of a change in the law that went into effect in September, we have to have a public hearing before we approve those.
Okay. I'll open the public hearing on this, see if anybody wants to talk to us about it. Anyone wishing to discuss this, please come forward. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and open it for council discussion. Any comments or questions on this? All right.
I didn't see, I mean, as far as we're just readopting.
Yeah, readopting it. Yep, same thing we've had before.
I have one question, maybe to Ms. Harris, maybe to Mr. Anderson. Has this been made available to the PEDC board members, current board members?
That I don't know. I've been in communication with Mr. Paris about that we weren't changing anything. They've obviously had the guidelines for the previous 2 years, been working from that.
I think this would be good for them to have as far as kind of a map to follow.
Sure, and that's why they do have it, because, you know, they take the applications and bring it to us, because that's the way the guidelines are set up, is that that's the procedure, they bring it to us. So, yeah, they're working through those guidelines.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or discussion? Entertain a motion on this one.
I move we adopt as is.
Okay. In a second. Okay. All in favor? Good. Item number 12, receive and discuss report from Chief Hunley about creation of a safe zone at local hotels in the city of Paris, Texas. Chief.
Back in October, after we had our discussion about this and started working on it, went out and visited with these hotels. And the first one, of course, that we met with was America's Best Value. And in discussing with them about the concerns and the calls for service, they kind of, I think they already know, they understand that they have issues, and I think they want to do the best they can to take care of those issues. To the point that when we start going through how they do their business and everything, if they have a person that rents a room and has an issue, some they have been kicked out right then. If not, when they leave, they're put on a list and that they can't rent a room again. And we validated that. We had a lady that caused a problem out there. She left that night, and then I noticed when I was going through the calls by calls, looking at them, there was another call where she came back out there. She'd been criminally trespassed from the motel, and she showed back up wanting to get a room. They said, no, you can't have a room. Asked her to leave. She refused to leave, called us, and she left. So I think the management out there, they live on site, and they're interested in running a good operation, and they understand that some of their clientele come in with a little bit of baggage, not just in the motel room. When we went to 90 days and looked at it, there was an increase of calls for service over 2018. For the same 3 months, there was an increase of an arrest. And the issue then became how much of an increase or anything. 3 or 4 calls, that's not, percentage-wise, that's not that big of an issue, but they still had 23 calls for service. Looking at the call for service, because we got to be, anything I bring to y'all is going to have to be fair, okay? Right off the get-go. So I went through and started looking at the calls for service. The lady that I was talking about, that was a call for service on criminal trespass. We had a situation where somebody called the PD, said they'd been assaulted at the motel. And officers went out, couldn't find him, in the room number that they gave was even a bad room number. Nobody knew anything, but that still shows, if I run a call for service, that shows an assault taking place there. It surely may have taken place, but we don't know that for a fact because the guy left. So we had 2 calls where relatives were looking for people and called the police department and said, we think they're out there. Well, that's a welfare check. And so bottom line is that we have calls for service out there that we have any place. And they can be more or less just depending on the circumstances of how it takes place. Just yesterday afternoon, or I'm sorry, not yesterday, Sunday afternoon, at a different motel here in town, we had some very good police work. They ended up with arresting 6 individuals on narcotics violations out of 1 room. You have a case like that, all of a sudden that particular hotel's got 6 arrests, within 11 days of being open in January. So calls for service can fluctuate that way. When we talk about, okay, how are we going to put a lid on this and keep it from going any worse and trying to clean it up, I think that we've already taken that first step, letting the management know they were very concerned about it. They were and 2 of the officers went out there with me when we sat down and had a discussion with them. And when we were going back to the station, they were talking about that we all felt that they were very sincere, that they don't want any issues, they don't want problems or anything like that. So go a little bit further in looking at the Grand Prairie ordinance. The new chief of police over in Denison is a former Grand Prairie assistant chief. And so I called him up and asked him about their enforcement of the ordinance and all that. He said, yeah, it worked great. It really worked well on some of the hotels that they were having problems with. And when I gave him the numbers that we were dealing with this, he says, no, you're talking about something different. What I'm talking about is real dregs, where there's holes in the walls of the motels, prostitution, murders, stabbings, a lot of other stuff taking place besides that. And it kind of made me think of what we did in a couple of places here in town on what we put together what's called a nuisance abatement team. And it's just not law enforcement alone. It was law enforcement, code enforcement, fire marshal, Texas Comptroller's Office, Texas Attorney General's Office, we all concentrated for a short time to make sure that everything was up to snuff with that particular entity. And it wasn't. And we have shut down 2 places like that. That's something I'm still in favor of, is more enhanced enforcement instead of coming up with another ordinance that we're going to have to apply to everybody in the city of Paris. I know y'all know that code enforcement has its hands full with inspections and all that. I know the fire marshal's office has his hands full with inspections. We still want the same thing. We don't want people to feel unsafe. We don't want people walking around on drugs or anything like that. But I just think there's a different way that we can combat that instead of putting in a written ordinance that's going to contact or make us have to deal with 13 places when we know 10 or 11 of them are doing fine. So my recommendation is still not this particular ordinance. There are some things that Ms. Harris and I have been discussing about what is and what isn't constitutional, what's legal, what's not legal, about the hotel register when they have people check in, about making sure we know who's in their hotel, and that includes the people that are staying in the room, not just the person renting the room. There are ordinances that we can do that. Sometimes we have to have administrative search warrants to get that information. But there's something there. There's lots of tools already in place for us to use, and I think that we would be better served to do it that way instead of writing up another ordinance. That's my thoughts.
Okay. Any questions for Chief?
You said the 13 places. How are they being held accountable? Like, if you're getting calls to a certain place, I know some of them are higher frequency of calls than others. Are they being held accountable? How, as far as the incidents happening on their premises?
I hate to say that they're not being held accountable, but that's really the truth. Because what we do is if we have a hotspot where a lot of calls for service are taking place, we use our COP, the community-oriented policing officer, to go in there and he starts talking to folks and seeing what he can do. Voluntary compliance with the law is what we want, okay? And we try it that way first, and then if it didn't, one of the 2 spots I was talking about, we went in for voluntary compliance. And we didn't get it. In fact, we got pretty well stopped at the door. So therefore, that was a place that we were averaging, not averaging, 500 or 600 calls a year, okay? And with shootings, with stabbings, with fights, and things like that. And so that's the reason why I got in touch with a guy in over Dallas PD. They have nuisance abatement teams over there. And we set ours up pretty much like they did and followed that. When we have a place that's a problem, we normally saturate with patrol. And Ms. Knox, if you remember, you asked me, I didn't want to give you an excuse about how come we're not doing that. And I don't know if you remember that from last time or not. I do. I didn't want to give you an excuse because I don't like giving excuses. But the fact of the matter is that we've been horribly short-staffed for over a year. And when you're short-staffed and you have a call load, you have to answer the calls that are coming in. Now that we're back up, we're not fully staffed. We still got 3 in the academy, but we're better staffed now. We're going to be in a better place to go in and look at hot spots and work those a little bit harder. And I think that's what we need to do. So is there accountability? No. Is there noticeability that when we notice that we're having a problem someplace and we try to react to it? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
We had spoke last time on whenever someone checked into the hotel, did they have to provide a driver's license? Is that correct?
They do have to provide ID.
And then the ordinance, kind of refreshed my memory, what did we, I was nervous on the ordinance side just because I don't want to jump in an ordinance and make another rule right off the bat whenever we, maybe not could take some extra steps. But what was the thing that bothered you the most in the ordinance?
Well,
maybe the top.
There's lots of, I'm not in the inspection business, okay? Let me just throw that up for right off the bat. There's a lot of things in the inspection part of this to, what type of locks are on the doors and construction stuff that I'm not really into, they use that to build a case that it's a very substandard building and is a threat to safety. The biggest issue that I had, or one of the common denominators, the hotels that don't seem to have the bigger problems are hotels that require credit cards to reserve the room and to be responsible for any damages or anything like that. I hate to put it like this, but maybe the market share of this particular establishment is cash only, because a lot of people don't have a credit card. And so the only way they can rent a room is with cash. And, you know, I think they said that 18,000 room rents in a year, that's a lot of people coming in. And if you're there and you see it every day, you're going to see it. If police officers are driving through every couple of hours, there's a good chance we're not going to see it. I've driven through the parking lot. My wife and I went on hotel parking lot patrol a couple of nights, just went out and rode all the motels. And so my deal is the physical plant of this building, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for code compliance. I think it's more of a problem of the people that stay there. And I mean,
I agree that the code enforcement. I mean, you can. There's if they can rent with cash and there's no accountability on them. But what about to add to Ms. Stone? What could we do anything to hold the property owners? I know on a rental basis, if you rent homes in this town and you've got unruly trash and that sort of stuff, and code enforcement or anybody shows up to that deal, it's the people that own the house, not the renters, that are liable most of the time.
They have to be in violation of some code, though. And as far as what I've seen out there, it's not the physical plan of the building, it's the people that stay there. And so we had one call for services, a noise disturbance. It's supposed to be people fighting at the swimming pool. The officers got there. It was a gender reveal party, and there was no fighting going on. What one person's perception of something going on, when they call it in, everything could be something totally different. And so if you don't have code violations to begin with, that's going to kind of undercut that ordinance in the first place. If they're keeping their building in good shape and halfway decent repair, the code part of that ordinance is not going to really work as well as doing a better job of hyper enforcement, I guess would be a word, that, you know, every time they turn around, there's a patrol car in the parking lot. And I think we're probably better off. I know we're better off right now than we were 8 months ago.
Chief, have you done any studies about when most of the service calls is it after 10 p.m., you know, later?
I did on America's Best Value. That's our priority, I think, right now. And out of the 23 calls in that 90-day period, it was about 17 during the day. I would have expected something going on more than that, but most of them are taking place during the day.
Thank you. Is that an assist to you as far as when you might put the hotels on close patrol or something like that?
We want them on close patrol when we're not doing anything else. Okay? I mean, I'm not trying to make light of it, but we have a call load, and it's responding to calls versus preventative patrol. And if you have officers that are not going to a call, they have time to drive around and look for things. Traffic violations, suspicious people, whatever. When you have a call load and you're working shifts at minimum staffing, you don't have a whole lot of preventative patrol. That's just the fact of the matter. But to answer your other question, or your question rather, yes, we look at times, and those can even be a little bit misleading, because why do we get more calls during daytime than we do at night? More people are around daytime and they see something.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your recommendation is to keep going the way we're going?
Yes, sir. I think the police department, we need to do a better job on making sure that we're hitting the hot zones. And I think that we've got sufficient personnel to do that, although some of these guys are younger officers that Chuck ran into the other night. But there's a maturity deal there going with brand new folks on the street. But I think we're in a better position right now to launch something like that.
Okay, so we've got the issue with the motels, and then we've got the issue with the panhandlers. Are these the same people? Is this the same group of folks?
I truly don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
I do not know.
Okay.
Does these hotels, any of them have like security, their own security? Like, like if they,
No.
no type of security? That's,
The owners, especially at America's Best Value, they call themselves their own security. And when they have a problem in a hotel, the clerk, first call is to them. And if they can't handle it, then they call us.
Anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
What do y'all,
I mean, I kind of think doing what we're doing here and what Chief's doing is a good step in the right direction, rather than one of these, that Grand Prairie ordinance is extremely overreaching with expensive, very expensive inspections that are looking for physical problems with the facility. It's almost punitive, the amount of money they're charging, and it might even be constitutional. It's hard to even know. But I think that's a way overreach to have that kind of an ordinance. But I'm good with this, with what Chief said, so.
Well, I do think that people have a right to go to work and not be harassed on their way to work, and people have a right to own a business and not have people mess up the doorway, sleep in the doorway, harass customers that come in. There gets to be a point where the right of the harasser is starting to take over the right of the person who is trying to make a living and, for themselves. And there's got to be some place where everybody can get along.
And you're getting into the thing about the panhandlers, which isn't on the agenda, so we're not really, but on
Well,
the
I thought the panhandlers
Well,
and these people were the same thing.
Not necessarily.
So that's what, but getting back to just this thing alone and not the panhandlers, as I remember correctly, when Miss Nicholson first brought this to us, her employees were scared to go in the morning and open up the business because people would follow them in and start, I don't know, begging for money or wanting to use a restroom or I don't know what, but, generally harassing her employees and the other businesses that work there are getting bothered by folks that are walking in and they're not customers. And for one reason or another, they're intimidated and don't want to tell them to leave, or I don't know. But it just appears that it's a situation where we've got folks that are intruding on other people's livelihoods and using the Constitution to hide behind that. Now I don't agree with the ordinance in that it's tied into the physical plant of the property, because apparently they're all well, maintained and built because they've been here for a long time and haven't fallen down. So maybe we can look at something from I don't know. I don't know what to do.
I don't know, no loitering or no solicitation. I don't know if that's some kind of, is there any?
Could we look into an ordinance as far as loitering and again, for a future agenda, not discussing it today, but could we look into an ordinance that might limit loitering and might limit panhandling in a legal fashion, in your opinion? Just, go ahead.
I can look at that. There have been a couple of Supreme Court cases, and they're really not even that recent, that struck down anti-loitering laws and anti-vagrancy laws. But I can go back and look at that, and, you know, while panhandling's not on the agenda, I can look at that too. If you want to put that on the agenda next month, and I can bring you I've got some model ordinances that I can look at, and I can bring you something to look at if you want to put that on the agenda.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you, go ahead.
Please use the microphone.
Yeah, they won't be able to hear you.
One of the other suggestions that I would like to make, because I know it's hard, and I do know that it's a freedom of speech issue for the panhandlers and things of this nature. One, I would like to, and I would appreciate, first of all, I know that there was multiple calls on these panhandlers. There's no doubt. If the police officers were doing their jobs correctly, they would have asked them where they were residing, and that could have been nipped in the butt right there. But besides the point, other cities are having difficulties with panhandlers in this type of situation. And what they are doing is they're thinking outside the box. And particularly for Brahms and the intersection and McDonald's, there's a lot of creative things. If you will look at social media, there's ideas for days.
Mr. Mayor, we are really talking about panhandling
Yeah,
here.
and
not on
that's
the
not
agenda.
what my
But
issue.
let me just tell you what I'm trying to say. What the other cities are doing is they are making pedestrian ordinances. You can't stay inside the inner side of the intersection for longer than 2 minutes, 2 red lights or something like that. You're going to have to be creative, and that's part of this meeting. Okay, so we
Hopefully
don't want to do the
city attorney
ordinance.
can come back with something. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to go too deep into something
Right.
that's not on the agenda about
All
open
right.
meetings. But I think there's a consensus that is for a future meeting. We're not done with this, but at a future meeting, let's address the panhandling and the loitering and see what we can come up with at that meeting. I don't
Thank
want
you. I
to
appreciate it.
violate open meetings by continuing to discuss this, so.
On the hotel, is there some kind of language that can be put in? Or is stiffer penalties on drug and assault charges and stuff? I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, if there's something out there.
Well, those penalties are state statute on things that are already in the penal code. Assault, disorderly conduct, there's a range of punishment that are in the statutes that the legislature's passed.
I know if you get pulled over in a school zone, it's double the
Yeah.
fine.
Well, there's like drug-free zones that are set by state statute, and they have to be within a certain amount of feet of a public park or a public school or
That's not
something
an
like
end-all,
that.
be-all. I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
what can you, if you can change it 10%, we're moving in the right direction.
Well, we can't change there's nothing that we can do to change the range of punishment. Now, depending on what court the violation is in, if it's in the city court, the city prosecutor can ask for maximum, Class C misdemeanor is going to be maximum $500 on a penal code violation. If it's a more serious offense, we can talk to the county attorney's office about asking for stiffer penalties in the county court and above. But you can't change what the actual range of punishment is, because that's set by state law.
I agree with Ms. Nicholson. We need to get creative. I don't know how, I'm not a lawyer. I try not to be anyway. But no, but if we could it's going to help y'all as much as it's going to help.
Oh, anytime we have a nuisance abatement, the 2 areas that we've hit before or used that type of tactic on, you bet, calls disappear.
I would like to see a 30-day checkup on this, just because this is a really hot topic for us.
Not a
We've got a lot of emails from several different people, constituents that live in Johnson Woods in my neighborhood. We're right down the street that have seen it as well, among the group that's here today. And I mean, I see it. I drive that intersection every day, and it is there. Not only that, the hotel issue is another deal too. So I'd like for us to see some kind of, I'm totally against big overdrawn ordinances and things that are going to be hard for us to and hard for business owners and hotel owners to digest. But we have got to, we've got 2 or 3 bad apples messing it up for the rest of the guys in the hotel business, and it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not.
Understand that?
Hello, my name is Mihir Mark Punkage, and I reside at 3055 Oak Creek Drive. Give me 1 second. And I don't own these two businesses that are on the screen, but I do own the Days Inn by Wyndham and Hampton Inn by Hilton here in our lovely city. I will say this. I don't think anyone disagrees with you guys whatsoever. I think we want a safe city. I think we want a safe neighborhood, and I think that we want safe businesses. You're absolutely right. People should not feel insecure or feel threatened at their workplace. But if this is something that we are looking into, finding ways to get better, let's have a discussion with the hotel owners. We absolutely want to help out the city, help out the police force, help out everyone in this community. We've been welcomed with open arms to have businesses here in this community, as hospitals to whatever business that you may represent. We're very fortunate to have that opportunity, but same with the hoteliers. We are absolutely fortunate. We want to be able to help. If we don't like to call the cops, and whether it be blue collar or white collar, I own one of the nicest hotels in town. I still have issues at times. We have to call the cops because sometimes some of the people that come in may have issues, and that's something that we can't avoid at times. But I just simply put, let's have a discussion, and if there is something that we want to talk about, let's have a discussion with the hotel owners and the folks that have issues with it, and let's come together and let's work together as a community on it. And if anyone has denied anyone of that, please let me know, and I'll have a discussion with these hotel owners. But, as a fair representative of the hotel constituents, I definitely want to be able to work with everyone and make this city safer, make our businesses safer. So that's all I just wanted to say. Again, my name is Mihir Mark Punkage. If you ever want to have a discussion, come by one of my hotels and let's have a discussion. Let's make it better.
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you, say for instance, if all the moteliers got together, do you think this issue could be resolved among the hoteliers
Absolutely.
in town?
Matter of fact, I'm hosting a hotel forum on Wednesday. Every quarter, we try to do every quarter. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it comes out to every month or every couple months that we meet with the Chamber of Commerce. And so we have an alliance, if you will. We don't have a formal name. Paul, you can probably kind of talk a little bit more about this, but we meet and we talk about events that are coming up. That way we can kind of discuss about, the events and what we can do to be better and representatives of our city whenever people come to our town. So we can have that discussion.
Do these properties participate with you guys?
Yes.
Okay. So you already have a relationship already built with them.
Absolutely.
So perhaps if you guys could, talking from hotelier to hotelier, could perhaps come up with some suggestions for this, and be specific about this particular issue.
Sure.
Where the client, the tenants of the motels are really being a nuisance to some of the businesses around. And because if nothing else, we may be forced to come up with something a little more drastic if they can't handle it themselves and make sure that their tenants tend to themselves and not bother other businesses around.
Absolutely, I completely
agree.
That is something that, Paul, you can hold me to that too. On Wednesday, whenever we have our discussion as hotel motel owners with the Chamber of Commerce, I'll definitely simply address that and have a discussion about that. We get that opportunity once in a while to meet, and we absolutely want to take that seriously.
Mihir, I've got a question. I'd heard earlier that some of the motels keep a list of people that have caused trouble in the past, and they don't allow them to check in. My question for you is that legal to share that information? Because if somebody's made trouble in one hotel, they're going to make trouble in another. Would that information, could that be shared to the other hotel members so that everyone could know that this person caused trouble in that hotel?
We already do it.
You already do it. Good,
we already do it. So we have if you want to call it a blacklist, if someone has done damages to the property or they've caused a nuisance, we've had to call the cops or something happens, then we absolutely share that with our fellow hotel owners and make sure, hey, listen, if they came to my place, watch out because they may come to your place. So we do have stop gates for that, and we definitely take that very seriously. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that should be worked with Chief as well.
Absolutely. And you're certainly welcome on Wednesday if you'd like to come out to our meeting. We can come to a common ground, if you will. Any questions?
Thank you.
This an opportunity where the community could come to the meeting, or just the?
Paul? I mean, usually we kind of keep it closed so that way we can discuss our initiatives, but maybe at the next one, maybe we can hold an open forum or something that where the community can talk to the hotel owners. We can express our issues and talk, you know? I mean, this is just, you know, wanting to extend to Olive Branch to help the initiative, you know what I mean? So.
The major problem that I think that he's got a very upscale hotel. Chief Hunley and probably Miss Harris don't believe that the other hotels that are the real issues at hand take the cash only, and they get the ones that don't have to have that credit card in hand, that don't work, that are the ones that create the crime. And I mean, as long as you've got criminals being able to check in the hotels.
He's signaling us. Nobody can hear. We can't get you on the record. The audience can't hear you.
I'm sorry. The only thing that I was going to say is I've seen him in all his articles, and they're so awesome and great, and he conducts business with credit card, proper identification. The issues at hand, though, are not those businesses. The issues at hand are the cash-paying customers, where you can get criminals to go and pay. Now, if he can get them to change their policy where they can do credit cards and stuff, that's great. And I'm open for talking. If you haven't noticed, I'm not afraid of it. But those are the issues that are.
I'm not sure that's legal, though. I mean, you.
Oh, I know.
You know,
I
that's,
know.
and that's an issue because you
I
can't
know.
like go to McDonald's and tell them you
I know.
have to take credit card.
And that's what I'm saying too, is I know that it's not, even though that, I don't know about municipalities within the city, within the state, I don't know that. That's why we're here. However, that would be a great way of doing that, or making it hard, somehow just getting this type of situation out of the population. That's the most important thing. Somehow we've got to make it hard for criminals to either be at the intersection or be at that hotel, one of the two. We've got to think inside the box or outside the box on ways to make it safer in the community. That's it. Whether it's an ordinance, sidewalk, pedestrian, whatever. The two don't mix well together, if you haven't noticed. So that's all that I've got to say.
Okay, thank you. One more thing.
Sorry,
Here,
just
go ahead.
one last
Yeah.
thing. I will say there are definitely agencies such as the United Way that has definitely a myriad of partner agencies that we can absolutely help to move some of these, or at least to make aware of these partner agencies that might be able to help. So that's just another solution that I'd like to bring to the table, but that's just a quick 2 cents on that. So.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on this? Yeah,
Let me make
Chief.
sure on this, Mr. Pilgrim, you want another report within 30 days?
I think it's something we need to just continue to look at until we get some resolve on it, whether we get the community together, we do some kind of ordinance action, or if we think we get the police rounded on it even more, you know, I mean.
Will do.
All right. Anything else on this item? All right, let's move on to item number 13. Discuss and act on an ordinance amending section 26-9, quote, seniority pay of chapter 26, quote, police of the Code of Ordinances, adopting additional service steps for increases in seniority pay for the ranks of sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and assistant chief. Chief, you want to talk this
In
over with us?
the 2018-2019 budget, we changed our step program for our officers to top out in 20 years to 11 years to get them more money quicker, hopefully do some of the retention. When we did that, we knew that we were going to compact the pay scales. And we'd already made plans that in the 2019-2020 budget that we would come back and do the supervisory figures to get that spread back out. Because right now, if we leave it as it is right now, a 11-year police officer is making within $200 of what his sergeant makes. And that's just way too close for an employee and a supervisor. And so we came up with this spreading out of the seniority pay to increase that separation between that first step between the officer and a sergeant, and of course then that ripples through the rest of the ranks. And the money it was approved and budgeted, so it's there.
Is that change to the budget $26,000 per month?
No, that's year.
The year?
Yes, sir.
Any questions or Linda, anything?
Well, I realize that as $26,000 isn't much according to our budget, our overall budget, and I know 26,000 isn't much according to the police budget. It's not a lot. It's just a drop in the bucket, really, I think. But I'd like to table this until we get our new city manager. Not that I'm not in favor of this. I certainly see your point of view, and I agree with your point of view. But I would like to see things that deal with pay and job changes and things like that. I'd like to see that addressed with the new city manager, and that should happen
Hopefully
within a month.
in a month or so. And the new city manager might have some unique ideas in restructuring things. I have no problem with, I'll second the table it. I have no problem with tabling it. Again, I'm not opposed to it at all.
Not at all.
But we're trying to put off decisions until the new city manager's here.
Decisions like this, you know, I really think that's important.
Give him or her as much leeway as we can. So I'll second your motion to table. All in favor of tabling this? Okay. We'll see you next time on this, Chief. Item number 14, discuss and appoint Melba Harris to serve on the Civil Service Commission. She's been on it before, and we need a person. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a vacancy currently on the Civil Service Commission, and Melba Harris has served before. And when she was previously an employee of the city, she was the civil service officer that oversaw that, so she's very qualified.
Okay.
For that.
Move to confirm the appointment of Melba Harris to serve on the Civil Service Commission.
Second.
All in favor? Good. And item number 15, convene into executive session pursuant to section 551.087 of the Texas Government Code. 1, to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the governmental body has received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body and with which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations. Or 2, to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect described by subdivision 1 as follows. Project Iron Shovel. It is now 6:26 and we're going into executive session. And I'm going to make a motion to approve the incentive package on Project Iron Shovel, approving the PEDC incentive offer, and to authorize the city attorney to bring back the tax abatement agreement associated with this deal.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. And future events, we did discuss talking about loitering and panhandling, and I think the city attorney hopefully will come back with some model ordinances that we might consider that might pass legal muster and hopefully solve some of our problems here. Anything else on future events? All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Let's do it.